I don't know if you don't understand how that works. I'm not getting into the details, but Governor Brown took that away, and so it's been stalled. So it would be valuable. Eventually it will be valuable, and it's my position that in 20 years, when things start to move, I mean, I think it's going to take 20 years. I don't know, but we own that building, and then we can do something else with it. We own it, and we don't control it. Well, just let me try to. So here we are today. We did, and I disagree. I don't know. I disagree. I was at the meeting, obviously, and I understood that this is what we were going to do. And it's partially because this ability to get money, which we desperately need. We so desperately need. Like the Myra. The Myra desperately needs money. It's falling apart. We all understand you can't get to the south wing because the roof is falling apart. And this is true of the whole city. So, but here we are today, and our task is, I mean, if there's another location that we can build and we have the money, or what I was really hoping is that the building on 400 Maryland Way, we could use that for some other city function and move the police somewhere else. Really, that was my
Yeah. Yeah, do that. Woo!
I don't, but I just want to say I thought Andrea had her hand up next. I know there's a lot of you that have your hands up, so
can you write them down, or do you want us to just hold our own hands up? Yeah, well, I got the bad in kindergarten. I start speaking now.
I can walk around and you can write your name.
Yeah.
You have to name. Does that work?
Yeah.
thank you.
What you just said is actually exactly the comment that I was going to make. I think one of the things that the community is frustrated about is that this is presented as a binary. Either you want the police at 400 Maryland Way, or you don't want the police to have a headquarters. And where we look to you, because I actually remember, I think it was when Councilmember Ariola and Laura Diaz brought this back last spring, you actually had said, well, I'd love to explore the police at the library or somewhere else. I don't think it should have to be a binary. We own this building. Yes, there are many great uses for this building. We haven't explored them, nor have we explored the alternatives for the police headquarters. And so that could be your role in this, is really representing the community and saying, I want to know, I want proper due diligence to have been done. The building was purchased in 2019, and the feasibility study was done after that. And then the JFK feasibility study was done after that. So we know they kind of put the cart before the horse. Can we just back up and actually properly assess other locations? I think, if we put the police station at 400 Maryland Way, that will be a police station forever. It will have been retrofitted beyond any other use. You cannot put that toothpaste back in that tube once you do that retrofitting and put up those ballistic walls. That building will be no good in 20 years for any other use, and we're not going to be able to get people to leave. So that's what I think we hope for you, is that you will push that we actually properly assess alternative locations and alternative uses for the 400 Maryland Way building as we know on.
Excuse me, the acoustics in here are not very good, and for us seniors, we're a little hard of hearing, especially if you're speaking with a mask. I worked on the deaf unit for many years, and if you talk a little slower, I know I'm a Chicago girl, I talk way too fast, but if you try to remember to talk slower and more direct, especially if you have a mask on, because I think we all want to hear every word you say. Thank you.
Yeah, my point was just to explore, not see this as a binary, and explore alternatives prior to making a decision.
Yeah. So Kathleen is next. Kathleen.
My question is a little bit for the community, and what I've heard the staff say is this is the most cost-effective solution to tax. However, in summer 2018, they went to city council and said, there's problems with the police station, there's problems with the fire station, there's problems with public works. This was Mr. Diof's first 6 months in office, and he said, do you want me to put a ballot measure on to raise taxes to fix these problems? In summer 2018, they said no. Summer 2020, the council put something on, but it voted down, and it was oblique what that money was for. How's that work? But I think we absolutely have to fix all the facilities, and there's not enough money without raising taxes. There's some really good ways to raise taxes that would have oversight and would not get the poor. There's good ways to do that. But we would have to come together as a community to say, we know we need to raise the taxes. This is part of what Councilmember Lorian Diaz staff is trying to work within the resources at hand. I don't know how people in this room would react to some measure where we have to vote on it, to create more resources, to be able to fix city facilities, to fix potholes, to fix all of those things. And I don't know how to have a good conversation about that.
Yeah, and if I could interject, so, and one of the challenges we have with taxes, and people might not understand, so a general tax is 50% plus one, so it's much, the bar is much lower. When you want a special tax, if we were to say, we want a special tax and it's gonna go to the roads only, that requires a 60,
That's
two-thirds
actually
vote.
not true if that special tax proposal comes from the community.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If by initiative, we came up with a tax proposal and said every parcel in town is gonna pay X amount more a year. So that lands on the property owner, not the tenant, I mean, there's a lot of complex economics.
Yeah, but from the city's,
But if, but
the city's
I'm
perspective.
saying, if the community wants to invest in the community, and we could come together and say, we wanna create a ballot measure, we wanna be able to raise over 25 or 50 years, $50 million, $100 million to invest in the community, and there's these rules on how it's used, and there's oversight, and there's budgets, all the good stuff. But I don't know
There's no trust.
if there's a way to do that. And I would be willing to help do that, but I can't do that alone.
So I'm gonna interrupt really quickly. I think what we're gonna try to do is kind of sweep around the room and answer everyone's questions. I know that we've got several over here, and it's almost like a line, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Gretchen was next.
Okay.
And then also Lori, yeah.
So I have a couple of questions. I also had some issues with the timeline. I'm just gonna email that to you with, I think, some clarifications. But to say the community objected only at the end, the community's been objecting the whole time.
Right.
And so that doesn't quite show it in the proper perspective. Regarding 400 Mare Island Way being like unrentable, I've been involved in the Oddfellows Lodge downtown, and we almost went under a couple times. It used to depend on that downstairs rental space. We couldn't rent it. People formed a hub as a desperate, like, in-house way to make some money. That wasn't sustainable. It depended too much on volunteers. And then, the guy after that, because of COVID, that fell through. But we finally hired like a professional realtor, put it on the market. It took about 8 months. We've got Brick Mania in there now. They're paying full market rent. And if they had not wanted that space, there were 2 other parties that were interested, like seriously interested. So I think things could be turning around if you took it seriously and put that building on the market now. It might be a lot different, and then we'd have some rental income that we could use to pay, like, for a bond or something for a proper police station somewhere.
And no loan.
I have other questions, but I'll let some other people.
Lori was next, Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Alio. I think this is about so much more than money. Our police department is a huge problem.
Yes.
It's, not only, all the unjustified killings, but, all the other things that have been going on as long as I've been in the neighborhood. And I feel like there's a huge issue of trust, and particularly when you're talking about our residents of color, a huge interest of trust. If you look at an organization like, for example, I did work with an organization called California Walks, and they address how people who are pedestrians, on bicycles, in wheelchairs, how they can feel safe and feel like they can actually access the streets in their communities. And this is not only, they don't not only work in the Bay Area, every city in the Bay Area pretty much, but around the state. And I would say, and maybe this is just me, but I would say that putting a police station on the waterfront will make a lot of people in this community not so comfortable with being in the waterfront. I'm not quite finished. What our police department should be doing is taking after programs, for example, what the Alameda Sheriff's Department is doing in Ashland, Cherryland, constructing a youth center, doing community outreach. They have people on bicycles. They actually sponsor programs for people coming out of jail and getting jobs. Right? They're building trust. Their police station is not in the fanciest part of town. They're trying to locate within the community where people can see them and access them. And so I feel like Vallejo is really getting this backwards by doing what seems to reward bad behavior and do something that will actually decrease trust in the community instead of building trust in the community. And I think that's incredibly important to keep your eyes open on that issue.
Okay, so we need money, Vallejo needs money. I believe that the waterfront, the Riverwalk can be a great source of revenue with cafes and galleries and perhaps a small boutique hotel, because we are the gateway to the wine country, and I think we've got this backwards. We need for the businesses to generate revenue, to generate taxes to help fill our coffers. That's where I'm at.
I'm a bit confused on why there's no representative here from the police department. When you're talking about, hold on, when you're talking about, and I'm coming from 23 plus years in law enforcement. Why are they not here when logistically, the placement of a police department boils down to response time to different areas within your city. It boils down to, you know, the resources that you have available in an emergency. And I think you cannot, for myself, you cannot have these kind of community meetings and not engage with the actual police department that's affecting everybody here. And they need to hear what these people have to say about, you know, right, wrong, or indifferent, how they feel about their police department. If we don't embrace our community, and we don't grab every single person in our community and engage with them, then we're going to lose as law enforcement. It's proven over and over again. And they need to be out here. They need to be every single opportunity that they can, they need to seize. To talk to the person that's angry about the misjustice, the person that's angry about, you know, their child being treated a certain way. The person that's lost, right.
That's why they're not here.
Well, that's you know what? I'm sorry to say that without their full engagement, you're gonna have problems selling anything to the community.
Well, they don't want to drive into town on the weekends. They live outside.
Well, and I just say that as somebody coming from law enforcement, and I'm Daryl Senator, and it doesn't matter. If my job is 23 years and I'm retired now, I can tell you that I worked with compassion, I worked with kindness, I worked with quality, and you know what? And I never took anybody's dignity. And when you can do that and you understand people with mental illness and addiction and all these other things that are in our society today, we're gonna be more successful. We will come together and address the underlying issues, and we will all win, trust me. Thank you.
Did you? All right, in the corner.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Sir,
Yes, okay. My name is Ken Szutzu. I have a...
speak up, Ken, please.
Okay. My name is Ken Szutzu, and I have several questions. First of all, I think because of our limited time here, I heard several things talked about, for example, the finance and the location. My understanding is our focus today is the location. So if that's the correct focus, let's kind of stick to that. The second question is actually, I wanted to address with Katie is, I think I heard several times you mentioned your main decision is because you don't want to see a county building or function at the 400 Mill Island Way. So I'd like to hear what you say about how did you compare a VTD, like a police station, against, so if you don't like a county facility there, how did you think, how did you compare these two? Okay, so that is the second question. The third one is, yes, as we mentioned earlier, there are several options which we talked about. This is not a binary. Either we have it there or not there. Because one thing which I also believe our previous mayor also mentioned, like library is one of the possibilities. And so if we can move the library, which or something to that the 400 Mare Island Way and use the library, because I think library, if you look at the structure and everything, is much better fitted for a law enforcement building. Okay, and also the other possibility is if you look at our Coast Guard, they just rebuilt their facility at their location. So this is something which happening in our community. So I don't know why it's so hard to, I mean, it's imaginable we can rebuild the police station at their location. Okay, so these are the things. Thank you.
Yeah, so the Coast Guard, as a matter of fact, I voted against the Coast Guard being there because I didn't want it down there, but because it's a federal agency, just so.
Gosh. No, bring criminals there instead.
Hold on. So there is a community town hall that's being hosted by the police department. It is March 30 at 6 p.m., 6 to 8. It's at the Filipino Community Center, 611 Amador, this coming Thursday. 611 Amador, 6 to 8 p.m.
In Florida.
Filipino Community Center.
Amador in Florida.
So,
That's
yeah.
about the use of force policy.
But just FYI, if you want to go to the meeting.
Last time we asked them about the PD there, they actually cut people off. If you ask, that happened during the last use of force.
Well, if you want to go, that's an opportunity. I'm just letting you know. So as far as like.
That's all you should.
A question here?
Yeah, hi, thank you.
Oh, I was.
Can you answer my question first?
Oh, Robert.
We have three questions that were asked by.
Except that I've been waiting a long time. I'm kind of on the edge.
Can we take Robert and then?
Wait a minute.
He's still
Yeah.
having, okay, so we'll
Thank
take
you.
Robert, we'll take Robert.
Wait,
Ken, were you
Ken's
done?
still on the
No,
phone.
we have three questions.
I have a question, and I think, maybe you or someone can, first of all, is the focus of the meeting, okay? The second is what's the difference between a county facility and the VPD, because one of your major decision point is you say you don't want a county facility. Okay, so can you explain to us why is VPD is much better than a county facility? And also.
Well, they're neither one, that building shouldn't have been built in the first place. And I think
Yes.
But that's.
So
that's-
neither one is a great choice, and I do, when I voted for it, I was hoping that there could be some movement around of offices, so we could possibly, I actually asked Supervisor Monica Brown, could we move the library into 400 Maryland Way?
Yeah.
She said emphatically no. I don't know why, maybe they can change their mind and have a new administrator up there, so I think things might be changing. But it's still out there as a question.
Housing code
And then,
enforcement.
so, Robert had his hand up for a long time.
Robert,
So Robert,
coming to
Oh,
you.
oh, that was, I
Robert,
thought that was
coming to you.
Robert, sorry.
I'll acquiesce.
Okay,
All
all
right,
right.
thank you, Robert. My main concern about this, I have two concerns. The first one, not my main actually, is that and I believe many others, are simply not qualified to know where the police department should go. I don't know what their needs are. Now, Ann Carr told us, and I know I saw it before, but she's the one who recently told us, Ann Carr? Yeah. Yeah. That the police department is gonna outgrow Mare Island in a very short time, so why are we doing that? My other concern, without a plan, like are we gonna have satellites or what's the plan? My other idea, I just checked it this morning, the NOAA website, National Oceans and something. We are going to be underwater in 30 years. Before that, it's gonna get higher. Now, during the presentation at City Council, Malone wasn't aware that there's a new report, I guess. He said, no, it's gonna be like 70, 80 years. No, it's gonna be 30. I won't be around, but my grandkids will. I want to leave them our house. And I want to know, well, not only that, guys, but we are going to have neighborhoods, populations that will be underwater, that we need to take care of. I want to know that the city is looking at least 30 years. Are you just concerned about the next 10? I mean, what are we gonna do then? And you know what else it does? $30 million, right? To pay just a loan, not anything else. $30 million. If we want to sell, how do we sell a building that's underwater? To me, that's a deal breaker. Right there.
And then, Tim, do you want?
I do.
And then back over here.
Yeah, and then the guys over here.
So, the reason that there's not been any engagement is because the city did not make any engagement possible with any of its public. It was notified by people within 500 feet. And as all people know, there's nothing within 500 feet to the front of that building. The people on the back, owners of those properties were known, but 50% of our people in that area are absentee landlords. The people that actually live there had no knowledge, and I would be convinced that, as I said to the planning commission then, because I happened to be notified, is that the people immediately behind the housing, immediately behind the police station, to this day, I'm convinced, but only a few, if any, know that the police station is coming. Barbed wire, heavy-duty lights, glaring lights, but most importantly, we do events at the waterfront. People enjoy the waterfront.
Amen.
This city is not police friendly to its public, and the public realm is not friendly to its citizens. And we are your bosses, all of you. And you have to be respectful of children, people of color, brown, black. You have to be respectful of your citizens to engage them. Santa Barbara spent 1.5 years to 2 years outreaching and multiple engagements with the public over and over again to determine where they want to place their police station. Theirs is even older than ours, if you can believe. And they still have not built it, but they have built a community process. And that's what's missing in this city. It is a realm I agree with you. The public was bamboozled by Terry Cortola and others at the city hall to build that building. That building should not be there. My wife and daughter, who's now 24, but when she was a baby in my arms and I was arguing to council, she and my wife would walk on a stroller through a park, through a memorial grove for the veterans, to the library, and they took that out to put that building there. It's wrong, but it's more wrong to take the idea that you can put a police station in that location. It's not centrally located to the city as is dictated by what we say in our own general plan, thank you. And we have to, you said at council meeting at 2 a.m. or whatever, a couple of weeks ago, that you would rather have a police station than an office building. Now, the fact is, that is an office building. And the fact is, none of us wanted it there, but it's there. But as a police station, it would only be a police station. It's alluvial soils. It has no conduit to getting to the courthouse, getting to a hospital, getting people in the middle of crowds of people for the Filipino festival, for Juneteenth, for Pirates Festival. Imagine trying to navigate police through that area. And also, in a cataclysmic event, you know, maybe a miracle that the building is there, but the road might not be there. And it should be centrally located. That's what the answer is about location. It doesn't matter what plan we put on that map. It should not be there.
I do want to address this. Katie, first of all, thanks for having the courage to speak in front of us. And thank you guys for coming here to express your opinions, etc. We need a police department, regardless of what you feel about police. In Catalan converts getting stolen, women getting pistol, hold on, I'm talking. Women getting pistol whipped. I mean, we need police, and you know, and we need it here. There's a lot of great ideas that are coming out. I think the ideas of what you talk about, your concerns environmentally, the waterfront. But the bottom line is, police do not want to work in this town because of that nasty place they have to go to. Now, hear me out. I'm talking over on Amador. So, what are the alternatives? Many people have talked about the Rayleigh's shopping center as being a viable place where they can stay and sleep overnight. They got a place to work out. The place on the waterfront. We have a lot of strong emotional voices here, but maybe putting this up for a vote for the public to let's find out if there's a silent majority that have a different opinion than
Measure
what's
G.
going on. So
We already voted.
That I have is maybe put this up for a vote with maybe a couple, 3 different locations of where to go. But we do need a completely different station. I think that Rayleigh Shopping Center makes a lot of sense as far as where to go. It's centrally located, a place for a gym, a place for officers to sleep. And we need a great place for them to want to come to work. And I encourage you, as for those of you that don't embrace our police department, we've got bad apples. When I was in the Marine Corps, we had 10% that were bad apples. But guess what? There's 90% that are great people that hold on, they're not systematically racist. Okay? And so I encourage you as a community that does not embrace crime, to take a look at that. And then also, and just Katie, this is awesome that you're here speaking to us, and I'm really grateful. I live in this neighborhood, as do you. We don't want crime, so thank you so much for being here. And if you want to beat me up, you can do it afterwards. I'll be happy to do that.
You need to be a member of the Myra Theater.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to be a member of the Myra. I happen to live in the neighborhood. I don't think anyone spent more money on their property than I have. I own waterfront property. Somebody said I'm not qualified to be a member here, so.
Read the fucking room.
Yeah, oh yeah. So I love our neighborhood, and I've embraced it, so I'll leave it at that. What's your name? My name is Tim Hiemstra, and I own Napa River Realty here in town.
She's had her hand up for a long time.
All right, we're gonna give it to Ugo for a minute.
I'm just interested in the people who are running for city council district. I think there are 3 of them. What do you guys think about this project?
4 of us here.
Yes, sir. Especially you.
Yeah. Hey everyone, Charles here. So I already made a public comment about this a few weeks ago. And so, I mean, my stance is still the same, you know. I don't think it should be on 400 Mile Island Way. They definitely need a new headquarters. It just doesn't have to be there, right? And so, what I really came here for was to discuss, you know, where else can they be? You know, I think we all kind of are in the same agreement here. It seems like we're all like-minded folks. But I'd like to discuss, you know, what are the alternative solutions so we just get on with this, right? That's it.
I'm Don Jordan. I'm running for city council for District 2, which is North Vallejo. I don't agree with the police station being on the waterfront. My plan is for us to use the back of that 400 Mile Island Way for the police cars for all their facilities, to scrape their current location, start in the back, build that facility from the back, and then when they get to the front building, tear that down, and they can start using the back building that was already built, and then tear down the front, and then they have a completely new station to their specifications that's going to be cost effective. Nina Diaz has already gone down to Modesto and got estimates on their new police station down there and gave that to the city. And that's centrally, it's in the best location it can be right now. All we have to do is give them, not give them, but to, like he's saying, 90% of police officers are good. My friends are police officers. I don't hate police, but I hate what has been going on. And it hasn't been addressed by the DA, it hasn't been addressed by the AG, and it hasn't been addressed by the federal government.
Or by the city.
No, the city, we cannot prosecute people. The DA is responsible for prosecuting all crimes in Solano County. What does she do? I'm handing this to the AG.
Yeah.
The AG said what? I'm not gonna handle it.
Yep.
Yeah. So we cannot, we as citizens cannot prosecute criminals. We cannot prosecute police officers. Only the DA can do that by law.
I need a
But
new
what we
DA.
can do, what we can do is get the federal government to come in here, just like they did in Oakland, just like they did in San Francisco, and police our police.
So let's stay on.
So, all right, and the last thing is, well, that was the main thing about where the police station should go. Thank you.
My name is Tara Beasley-Stansberry, and I'm running for District 5, and I have the same sentiment as Charles here and Don Jordan. And again, you know, with a more centrally located police department, no one here is arguing, obviously, that, you know, a new police station is needed. No one here, although everyone has their own emotions, their own experiences with the police, I also haven't had a very great experience as a Black woman here and a homeowner and a business owner. No, I have not. However, I don't go around hating all police. And so that is the very wrong concept to have. Because at the end of the day, I can guarantee you when you walk out this door and somebody's gonna knock you upside your head, the first person you're gonna call is 911. So let's stop bashing the police, okay? And let's just hold those accountable who need to be punished. But I said that to say, raise is an opportunity for them to use as a police station, because why it is centrally located. Not because I live in District 5, but District 5 is what? The heart of Vallejo. Where should your police station probably be? In the heart, so you can get to every other artery and every other vein, right? So if you centralize your police so they can get to where they need to get to, that's probably the most successful route that you will ever be able to take. Using 400 Mare Island Way is wrong, and I think we've come to that understanding. My personal belief on that is, let's use some economic development skills here, and maybe we might have to repurpose that building. Just because it's commercial now doesn't mean it always has to be. So sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do in order to get to where we have to get to. So in 30 years, my children aren't sitting here having this very same meeting, right? So maybe we turn that into a business building at the bottom, a commercial space at the bottom, and we start getting some lofts at the top to encourage our artistic community. This building is not a great community who would probably love to have that live work space.
Yes.
Again. Thank you.
So.
Okay, no, wait, Beverly's had her for like 45 minutes and then me.
We were trying to work.
I like to get from seat.
Stand by.
This lady's been waiting for 15 minutes. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm a candidate and she can talk.
Oh, you
Yeah, I've been out of the area for about 4 months, and when I left, the whole consensus was they were against Mare Island Way. And now I came back, and then 2 weeks ago, they just had a meeting, and the Times Herald said it was 40 against to 1 for. And for Mare Island Way, 40 people spoke against it, 1 spoke for it. And now here we are in the same other meeting, and everybody's against Mare Island Way, as am I. And I just don't know why we're doing this again. You know, we're just having another meeting. And you hear what we're saying? The same thing we said 2 weeks ago.
Well, and also the city, everything is a closed door meeting.
Can we go order,
We
please?
have closed door meetings. Why is this council start at 7 and
Point
then
of
at 2
order,
in the
please.
morning?
You know, Barbara had a hand
Would you
raised.
answer
And you know
my
what, we're,
question?
we are,
Why are we doing this again? That is my question. Why are we doing this again?
Because the police still need a better building. Because nobody listens.
Talk
They're
about
not
ideas.
listening.
so the council committed to hold these meetings, and so I requested that the Myra host this meeting, that's why we're here today. This plant was planned to end at 4:00, and I don't know, we've got city staff, and the Myra has to close, so, I think we're gonna have to wrap up. I think we had, Barbara had her hand raised for a long time.
And we have 2 more candidates. I feel like all that
Yes,
candidates.
I would like to address that, maybe you were casting a chance, so Barbara, you go, and then Dave, you go, and I can
Okay, thanks. I'm getting old and I might forget my points. See the white hair? First is, the point that I made, and my understanding is why we're meeting here is to talk about alternatives and why. So my point that I made the last city council meeting was that psychologically, I worked at Napa City Hospital for 20 years, and I have a lot of experience with people looking down their nose at Vallejo as being one big ghetto versus what it really is the best city in the country to live. And I got this big list of 30 reasons, but the idea, just psychologically, it's horrible in terms of rebranding and all that, to have it down there with all our festivals and everything. The second point is the centrally located. I totally agree with Don Jordan about that. Actually, even Rayleigh's is really not that central. It's in North Vallejo. And that's why I'm sorry, Chen, but I'm totally against the library. Keep the library. But the current location, maybe they could have a temporary someplace else, is the most centrally located. And it's not just because someone said, well, they're out. The electronics, they dispatch to the police cars, and they're already out and about, so it doesn't matter. No, it's not just dispatching, it's people going to the police office to file reports and stuff, and being able to get easy access to the police department. Which leads to my third point. 2.5 years ago, some of you might remember, I brought a couple of friends to the city council meeting to voice this, saying the exact same things 2.5 years ago. And I remember, I wish Robert McConnell was here, but his great point was he's one of the ones that do a lot of research, like Carr, Saint Ann Carr over there, unelected people's city council person. And he said there's a national organization that studies how to do police stations. And the one thing that stuck in my mind was the worst thing you could do, and he had all the stats and everything, is to retrofit an older building. Throwing good money after bad. And it's like no one heard it. We know which council member was sitting there playing on his computer and totally ignored. It's like he was alone in the room. So the research is out there. Robert McConnell's in the research, and I bet other people have done. So we need to think about the psychological impact in terms of reputation of our beloved community, and really make it centrally located. And don't reinvent the wheel. Talk to the pros who have studied where's the best place and how to do a police station. Thank you. Yeah.
Joe Biden said, show me your budget and I'll tell you your priorities. I believe it was a year or two ago that we all gave the police officers a 5% raise. We spent the next 2 years buying them new technology and increasing their funding. And now they're coming for $30 million, which is the first in a series of loans that would be required to retrofit this building or any other building in town. There was an original plan. Renovate Amador while we get our community under control. If I gave any of you, including you, Councilwoman Meissner, $30 million to spend on Vallejo, because yes, it's an iBank loan, but that's still coming on our credit. If I gave you $30 million, would you buy a police station? I don't think anybody would. I don't know why we're even considering it. There's been complaints about this process stretching out. We need to do something. Well, we had a plan to do something. It was renovate Amador while we fixed our community's problems. I don't support moving to Rayleigh's. I don't support moving to anything. I support the original plan that took time to develop, that was voted for, that went through the democratic process and was not usurped by a city manager who you fired. Stick with the original plan.
He quit.
Sorry. Separation agreement. Excuse me. He would have been fired. We were going to run him out of town on a rail if he didn't get out. Stick with the original plan of Amador Street We don't have the money, and if we did, we should spend it on something else. I'm Dave my name's Dave Haldane for District 4.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Andra and Ruscal back there. And Dwight.
You already had a chance to talk, but we
Okay.
have to.
Daryl, just real quick, I am a candidate for Swan County Sheriff, and this engagement right here is what we need across this county in order to make and address the issues that face us all. That's all I can say. Thank you, I apologize.
Miss Andrew Davis is over here too.
Hello, no, I didn't want to speak, but actually, I would just like to say that the police station should not go downtown, and we should move further and figure out where to put it. Community matters, and their opinion is everything, so thank you.
Are you a candidate?
Yeah.
Miss Andrew Davis, Dwight, District 4, right?
District 4.
Oh, so I just want to make sure that we're not, that we're acknowledging candidates, but we're not here as a community resource at Myra Theater to engage in any political activities. We're not endorsing a candidate by being here. We are simply providing a space for community dialogue on where the Vallejo Police Station should go, and to have an opportunity for KB and the information and Christina to hear you. So let's go light on the candidacy speeches.
It's just nice to have a room with people.
Yeah, but I did like you. Of course, every time you have the opportunity, I just need to state that. Thank you.
We got Dwight and Ruscal.
Garrett, okay, keep your voices down because we really need to end the meeting, and so the longer you talk, it's harder for it. So Garrett, please.
How's it going? Actually, my name is Dwight Monroe. I'm running
Dwight,
for
I'm
District
sorry.
5.
I need
And
glasses.
I believe I am a citizen where Amador is currently, still defining the borders right now. But I totally support what the people was gonna go with. Honestly, as a council member, as a public servant, I look to gain the knowledge and trust of the public, to just all the citizens, all the residents. We need to keep the residents at best interest, and I feel like that's something that's lacking with council members right now. I'm not sure what is actually the agenda, but right now we're overlooking the public. They're coming to every meeting expressing all sorts of emotions and, even solutions, some people. But it's being overlooked, and just getting back to the main foundation of what I believe is public service, and that's actually reaching out and listening to your residents, and actually just having the council reflect that, because that's what the importance of this district election is. We're actually, our council members are gonna start looking like our neighborhoods in some manners. So we need to really focus on who is in our district, who is in our neighborhoods, reach out to them and get that input, and it needs to be reflected on council.
Again, I appreciate candidates speaking, but please keep it limited to 400 Bear Island Way. And then Ruscal, no campaigning.
Yes, I am not speaking as a candidate. I'm speaking, but I'm your Assembly District 14 delegate representing Vallejo. That's it. At all levels of government, state capitol, council, or at the Democratic Party. But I'm speaking on behalf of people who could not be here, so Rick and Palmares family. And we're all in agreement. We're against this 400 Maryland way since the beginning. And we have the following questions. Why isn't helping impacted families a priority? Why are we not looking at renovating the 111 Amador Street? Why are we not looking at substations? Having grown up here for the last 30 years, I remember the substations, North Vallejo, South Vallejo, East Vallejo. Aren't they cost effective? And lastly, can we just look at selling parts of Maryland Way to get our money back? Because our taxpayer reserve was used to pay for that building. So,
Okay, thank you, Russell. So we're gonna end this meeting. I'm gonna, Ann, you already spoke, so.
Just folks
No,
are talking about renovating the Amador Street.
That's rude. That's rude, man.
Not fair.
That's rude, man.
Point of order.
That's rude.
So
That's rude,
Ann,
sir.
and I know, Chris, this lady in purple, Chris, and
Yeah.
and that's it, and that's it. I'm sorry, we gotta wrap it up.
gotta prepare the mic.
And if you wanna choose a location, if you haven't done it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and go.
So I appreciate that the city, and in particular the PD, has recognized the idea of community engagement. And as we know, in the OIR report that is supposed to respond to the Department of Justice, community engagement is in 10 of the 45 suggestions. It's belated in terms of this process, and I'm concerned even about this meeting, although I'm glad this meeting has happened, and I'm thrilled that so many people are here. The publicity was off. It wasn't on the website that corresponds to the map. It wasn't in the little newsletter the city sends out. So it wasn't clear to me whether this was going to be an extra meeting or what this was. And I think it's really important, and going back to L'Orealio's comment, there's an issue of the facilities and there's an issue of trust with the community. And you can use this issue to help heal and improve, or you can use, if you misuse it, it's going to further alienate people. And polarizing the issue around it's either 400 Muir Island Way or it's crappy facilities is not the way to build consensus. Also, and I'm afraid I'm going to talk to you, Christina, it's important to be impeccably honest about the material that you're providing from the city. And in fact, the community has spoken against this every single time the public has had an opportunity to do so. It was not just the last meeting. So it's important to acknowledge that all along the community has had reservations about that facility. And again, it's not, do not polarize the issue, because it is easy to polarize here in Vallejo. The police record is abominable. It makes us all, it breaks our heart. But if we were to say, okay, we're gonna climb out of that, we really have to be better about being accountable, transparent, impeccably honest. And oh, by the way, I will tell you, I worked in corporate PR for 25 years. I worked with product managers, I counseled corporate executives, and I had to tell them, no, you can't say that because that's not honest. And you will, once you have lost the trust of an editor or analyst, you lose it forever, forever. So if you start misleading people and using misinformation like the staff report on March 22nd did, where it had all this outdated information and some things that had frankly already been debunked, you're losing the city with, you're losing the community with every step and making things worse. If you are reasonable with us, we will be reasonable with you. And I think that even with people's reservations about police conduct, use of force, and shooting with an abominable record, I think people say, yes, we need improved facilities. We'll even consider a special tax with 66% required to consider it, whatever it takes, but this is not the right way. And finally, on that, this business that I just read about this morning, that, oh, the input on the new locations has to be done by April 9th. I'm like, when did that come about? And also, oh, it seems to only register with you if it's in this little interactive map, which is, oh, by the way, hard to use. Why can't we just give you a list of places? It's pretty simple. There are a lot of vacant lots and vacant buildings around town. So
and I'm going to have to wrap up because other people want to speak. But if you want to send locations to the city, just email me directly, katy.meissner@cityvallejo.net. So I know the website, and you go to the lady.
And you will get staff?
Yeah.
Oh, should we also copy the staff?
You can send it to me until the gal
I would like to just vote for the on-the-door solution because I think it's the most cost-effective solution.
Yeah.
And Chris Platzer and Liat will close it for us.
So when I moved to Vallejo, there were no Starbucks. But oddly, there were 5 police stations, or 5 police substations. There was one at 201 Georgia, there was one on Sonoma and Magazine, there was one in City Park, that pretty building in City Park. And then 2 others that I can't remember. I was on the planning commission when the city staff presented the idea, and Kathleen was there next to me, and gave us a list of 96 locations that were investigated as possible police stations. And I thought, that's interesting, you guys spend an awful lot of time looking at other options. Then I asked the staffer, so you're presenting 400 Mare Island as the best location. I go, what if it doesn't work out? What's your plan B? And they said, there is no plan B. And Diohep said, and looked me straight in the eye and goes, why are you such a pessimist? This is the best location. So here's what happened. The city said, we can buy this building, and Diohep used this as a clever tactic for saying, you have an opportunity to buy it for $14 million, and you only have a week to make up your mind, because that will go away if we don't. And then he said, this will be cheaper to renovate and turn into a police station than the $100 million it will cost to redo Amador. Well, here's what happened with that. The police, DPOA said, you're gonna build us a new police station? Awesome, let me tell you what we want. We want a 5,000 square foot gymnasium to work out in. We want kennels for canines. We want a cappuccino machine in a break room. We want a conference room, we want a briefing room, we want his and hers lockers, all this cool and great stuff. They drove it up to $100 million. Amador can be used as a police station if it's renovated. I think policing is an activity and not a location. You know, there is no reason to have the dispatch in Amador. Because, you know, your best example is the CHP call center for the Northern California district is in Vallejo, right? So you guys, and Robert will back me up on this because we both looked into Santa Barbara and Seaside. The way a police station is organized, there's a feng shui to it. There's a way a cop goes into a building, puts on his uniform, and walks out and gets into his patrol car. And don't call it a police station. Right. It's a public safety building. Right. It's a place you can go into and feel safe when you have to tell that tell about your husband being the crap out in the lobby. Yes. Bulletproof glass. Yep. So I think you can make Amador work. That building is as old as I am. It's decrepit as hell. I get that part. But you can locate it elsewhere. Some consideration, I like the idea about Rayleigh's. That's a great place for it. It's just sitting empty.
It's something close to our neighborhood, guys.
The old school on Farragut would be another option I would look into. But I think there's other ways to go than 400.
So that, okay, so Liat's gonna close it out for us. Close it out.
As a 37-year resident, I've been to many a meeting with city. And every time you hear from the community and everybody gives you their ideas and people go away feeling happy that they were heard, those things never materialize.
Amen.
And so you have to understand the frustration. When we went through the waterfront plan, the downtown plan, went through all those crazy meetings till 2 o'clock in the morning. People said what they wanted. Nobody said they wanted a police department on the waterfront. We went to the fight with the Cayanyang Silver Group. You guys went to court to get a better plan because we wanted to have waterfront access for the people. Yeah. For the people. Mm-hmm. And so nobody envisioned in that they wanted a police station on the waterfront. That was never in the conversation. Then we went through the general plan update. Mm-hmm. Nowhere in that conversation did anybody even bring up or even think about that they wanted a police station on the waterfront. So you had meetings. You heard from the people. We all went through a democratic process. It was voted for. People were happy with it. It's just right now, I have never felt like I've had so many things being crammed down my throat by this city without having a chance to be vocal and be heard. Because they keep saying we hear you, but we're not seeing any evidence in any decisions that are being made. You guys write post-its all over the wall, take all your comments and write them down. There's a room in City Hall, I'm convinced, filled with these post-its and never see the light of day. So I hope, the frustration from having decisions, major decisions, and non-getting the public process. I get it that the city staff is short, but you know what? That's not our fault. We're the ones who have to deal with the consequences. The only thing we keep hearing people say, give us an opportunity to have some say. Slow this stuff down. There's no emergency that you have to do everything right now. Slow it down, give us an opportunity, and then show us that you really did hear us. And not that you just let us talk, but that you heard us and that we're participating, and those decisions are being reflected by what's coming out of council. Because it doesn't matter which council person doesn't like what, because of their personality or how they feel personally, you're voting for us. You're voting for us.
Thanks everybody for coming out, sharing your opinions, obviously. I've heard it loud and clear. I really want to thank Christina Lee ended on a positive note, so thanks to Kathleen for allowing my opinion. And please, 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 as I said, my ulterior motive is to get a bunch of people in this building to show them how much it's loved and it needs your help. So let's do something positive. Ugo's got memberships.
Yes.
So
Become a member.
become a member. You know, it's a lot of fun when you're here. And as a matter of fact, I'm off, I'll go back here. Positivity.
Christina,
Yeah, just